The member from Nickel Belt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is for the Premier.
Speaker, yesterday, the day we apologized to our First Nation people, the Premier said that she did not know the source and had not read the report into the cleanup option for the mercury poisoning the First Nations people of Grassy Narrows. Well, maybe I can help, Speaker. It is the government-appointed working group, and I don't know why no one in the government has read it, because they got the report back in April. So it is disappointing to hear, in response to the report yesterday, the Ministry of the Environment said, and I quote, "Currently, there is no evidence to suggest that mercury levels in the river system are such that any remediation beyond continuing natural sedimentation remediation would be warranted." Does the Premier think that this is an acceptable response to the First Nations people of Grassy Narrows?
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. And I actually have now read the recommendations of the report, Mr. Speaker. And from those recommendations, it's not very clear exactly what the solution is. If the member opposite looks through the recommendation, she will see that the first recommendation starts with putting in place some field studies, Mr. Speaker, to determine whether there is mercury still leaking, Mr. Speaker, and to determine whether capping or whether dredging or whether some other solution would be the answer, Mr. Speaker. So I said yesterday I had not read the report. The report has been read, Mr. Speaker, in government. I have now looked at the recommendations, and I certainly will be talking with the Minister of the Environment to see if that recommendation around field studies, if that's something that we can do. But I rest assured, Mr. Speaker, there is no clear direction in that report that points to a simple solution. It is a complex issue. There may be some solutions that have arisen in the last few years, Mr. Speaker, but there is no one solution that's going to solve the mercury problem at Grassy Narrows.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Thank you, Speaker. Well, the report says that remediation can be enhanced by applying a layer of clay to the source of the sediments, very much like we have done in my riding with similar problem. It is safe, it is cheap, and it is an effective method. Leaders at Grassy Narrows First Nations travel, again, the 1,700 kilometres to come to Queen's Park to plead with this government to act to clean up the river that is poisoning them. 2 years ago, Chief Steve Forbesser had to starve himself on the lawn of Queen's Park to get a meeting with this government, and it took a Japanese research team to fly around the world to get that research restarted. So, Speaker, my questions for the good people of Grassy Narrow is simple. When will the Premier clean up the mercury contamination in Wabigoon River and Clay Lake?
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Speaker, and you know,
Be seated, please. Be seated, please. Premier.
Speaker, I have sat in the community hall at Grassy Narrows. I have heard from residents who have been affected, some of whom have gotten compensation, others from surrounding communities have not, and the discussion that was referenced in terms of the Japanese expert and the issues around Minamata disease, Mr. Speaker, I have heard those concerns. I have also heard from scientists, Mr. Speaker, who have differing views about how that water can be cleaned up and how the mercury can be dealt with, Mr. Speaker. As I said, the report that I have now seen, that I have looked at, Mr. Speaker, suggests that there is a need for some field studies to look at what the possibilities might be, Mr. Speaker.
Answer.
You know, the member opposite can pick one solution. There are partial solutions. The report says that there are certain sections of the river starting downstream that might be dealt with.
Thank you.
We're going to look at that report, Mr. Speaker, and make a decision.